Happy Easter, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Quarantine Pods. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday weekend at the moment, staying in with your family, wherever you are at the moment, staying safe, catching up with your grandparents, hopefully via long distance or at the minimum social distance. And speaking of social distance, one man I can't get away from during this period. How are you going, Damien?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you going? Long
Well,
time no see.
Still living with you, so I can't be going too great, but I'm dealing with it at the moment.
That's all right. It's good to know.
So what have you been doing to stay sane over the break?
Earphones, headphones, starting conversations with you and then, zoning you out to music. That's been quite fun.
Yes, it has. And that's an inside tip for anyone else at home. If you want to ignore me, apparently it just takes headphones.
Headphones and some good tunes and you just drown him out.
And yet I still choose to live with you. I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
What have you been doing to pass the time, Pete?
Well, I've been trying to have these really useful conversations with my housemate. Yeah, about really interesting stuff I'm finding, because I've got plenty of time off at the moment to learn really cool things.
How's that been going?
Well, I've got you for the next hour and you can't run away.
That's true, that's true. No headphones.
This time, no excuses this time, guys. So we're going to be grilling you today on the next part in our episode of going through the process of making a movie.
Yep.
We're going through the casting process in a lot more details than we did last time.
Yeah, my favourite part.
So, all right, let's get started. Tell us a bit about why casting is one of your favourite parts, because you love directing, editing. I mean, is there anything you don't love doing? And how did casting beat that?
Casting's something I love and hate doing at the same time. It's crazy. So, it's kind of cool. I mean, early days of casting is pretty fun. Now, when we talk, we're going to talk from more casting in an indie. You know what I mean? Because I think casting works on separate levels, obviously. Commercials and commercial features are obviously a different kettle of fish to doing your own independent production. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll talk more from the indie side, which is a little bit more intimate.
Is there any differences between the commercial and indie that you need to be aware of?
Oh, just the levels that you go through, the amount of people you go through. Obviously, when you do commercial stuff, you had a proper casting director comes in, and half the time as a director, you don't see as much talent. You know what I mean? The casting director kind of weeds that talent out for you, or kind of shortlist down that talent for you before you come into play and have your selections and looks and stuff like that. That's pretty much because
So you don't get that at all in commercial where you can like pick and choose from everyone?
Not really. Depends on what it is too. If it's TV commercial, from my experience in that, it's pretty much a lot of times you might not be, if it's actual commercial, you probably have little to no say really. I mean, it's more the brand or the marketing officer, whoever's in charge of that commercial, is probably having more of a say than you as the director. You're just pretty much coming on the day and doing your thing. If it's a commercial feature, then it depends on what level the commercial feature's at.
Okay.
If the studio's got a big say in it, then they're going to tell you who your main cast are already. Obviously, names draw box office, so that stuff's going to come into play. So it does change depending on the level of production, where it stands, and there's multiple ways through it.
Oh, well, let's start there, because it sounds like you've taken it from being just a thing you have to do as part of the process to an entire department of casting. Like, who's involved? What are the different people? Because I know there's agents at the moment, there's the actors, obviously, there's directors, casting directors.
It's kind of like a food chain, if you will.
What's the team?
So if you look at the food chain where it stands, it depends on what you're dealing with. So to put it as simple as possible, there's a lot more to it, but this is whoever's watching this are probably people that are interested in how casting works, right? Which is probably performers. So I want to break it down simply from a performer point of view. You have your kind of food chain. So the top of your food chain is what you always call your client.
Okay.
All right. So you got your client who's top of the food chain there, which is kind of like your, if it's a feature film, it could be the executive producers. If it's a TV commercial, it's going to be whoever the TV commercial's for, or Telstra,
Now, for something like TKG, where the client is also you, who is also director and casting.
So you merge one and two. So you got pretty much I call it the 5 stages of grief in a sense.
Yep.
But you got your client, your production company, your casting director, your talent agent, and your talent. So they're your kind of 5 tiers of who's in the casting process, right? So your client, so something like TKG, which is an independent feature film, because we EP'd it, we're also the number 1 and number 2.
Right, but that means executive producer for those of you playing at home?
Yeah. So let's break it apart and pretend it was separate. So let's say we had investors coming in and they financed the full thing, and we're just a production house that was carrying that out. So what would kind of work from there is the way the processes work. So you pretty much got your top of the line here, green lights the project. So your executive producer or whoever's funding the project is going to green light the project. From there, your production company goes to carry out the project, which includes casting.
Okay.
So obviously they do everything else on top of that, the production house, crewing and location scouting, all that kind of the boring stuff. But then they come to the casting process. So it depends on your budget. Best thing to kind of do from there is you get a casting director involved. So the casting director is going to be the one who puts out all the briefs. The casting director has the relationships with the talent agents.
Do they write the briefs, or is this still something that's usually done by
Yeah,
a director?
usually that, but usually it depends on who. I mean, the writer director might write the briefs. Like, it depends on. It's between the production house and the
Just from the
casting
negotiator,
director.
whoever feels like writing it that day.
Yeah. So it could be written by either or.
They give it to the catering guys.
Yeah, pretty much. And so from there, you have your production house hires a service of casting director. The casting director now, they've got the networks to the talent. Okay, so what that means is the networks to the talent usually runs through the talent agents. So the better the talent agent, the more casting director contacts and relationships they're going to have.
Okay.
And I could talk about talent agents a little bit as well. But so then from there, your casting director has the briefs. They send it out to the agencies that they've got a working relationship with, the agencies that they know and trust. They send out those briefs. The agencies then go grab those briefs. They then look at their talent pool. So the way a good agent's going to work in that situation is a good agent's going to look at their books and go, well, just because the age range matches this person doesn't mean I'm going to put that person forward. So the way it should work is if they look at a character and it's like, Ronald, age range 50s, like late 50s, you know what I mean? He's a former, a former bikie or something like that, you know what I mean? So, okay, so he's got to have a bit of muscle on. He's got to show that he's had a bit of an interesting background.
Probably not going to cast him in a suburban polo.
No, absolutely not. So you look at your talent and go, who fit, not only who fits the age range, and sometimes it might be a specific ethnicity. They might need, you know what I mean? Has to be an Italian descent or has to be of this descent, you know what I mean? Yep. So then that also plays a part too. So they got to look at their books and say, this person fits the brief ticks a few of the boxes. Mm-hmm. They're in the right age range. They've got the right ethnicity to them. You know what I mean? And they kind of feel this character, I think they can mold into this role. So they're going to now submit that talent to the casting director. Mm-hmm. So what normally happens from there is they'll submit the talent. So the way the chain works, it's been greenlit. The production company starts to carry out the production. They get the casting director on board. They send the briefs. The agents then get the briefs, look at their talent, see who fits the briefs, and then they go submit that talent to the casting director. So what will happen is they'll usually...
Are these usually really... how specific will the requests get? Is there
It could be extremely specific or it could be extremely vague.
So you could be I need a woman who's specifically 29 years old, who's, been through this, has a scar here, or you could just be as generic as single white male.
Look, you could be as generic as single white male. You could be... as specific as a 29-year-old female with a scar on her forehead.
Yep.
Keep in mind, usually makeup play a part there too. But so what normally happens is they'll use a couple of avenues for this, usually Showcast or Casting Networks are the main two.
Okay.
That they'll kind of use, that the casting directors and talent agents kind of use those portals. And then from there, what will happen is there'll be submissions. So they'll submit, say, for instance, I'm the agent, I come to you and I'm like, Peter looks perfect for this role. All right. It's a really dodgy looking, middle-aged white guy. Peter's going to fit that brief 100%. So I now submit you. So what I submit is your headshot. You pretty much your Showcast profile, your Casting Networks profile will get submitted, which has got your headshot, your resume, hopefully links to your show reels and things like that.
So show reels. Do you have a couple of self-tapes that you've done for yourself, or does that just stay as part of your show reel?
Normally with your show reels. The self-tape, so what happens from there?
I know they'll happen.
Yeah. So usually you whatever video content you've got on there. Now obviously it's best to have your show reel up there. If you don't have a show reel and you've got one or two self-tapes, well that's better than nothing.
Yep.
But you're always better off having an actual show reel. And so what happens from there is the casting directors have to look at that and say yes, yes, no, yes, yes. So when they say yes to someone, it means they're happy to see them for the audition. So we're happy to see this guy or this girl for the audition. So then from there, they hold the auditions. Now, the auditions can happen one of multiple ways. So let's say the casting is taking place out of Melbourne, but they're looking Australia-wide. Because that's the other thing that has to play in casting as well. Are you looking in one specific city? Because if the production has a budget to travel cast to and from.
And that's actually a good question before we get too far ahead then. Does this differ according to if it's Australian-based or anywhere else in the world? I know you've said there's a difference between commercial, corporate, and independent casting processes.
Yeah.
Does this also change the moment you decide, I'm doing something in the UK or Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're doing
or if I'm doing Australian thing with UK
it depends on what you're doing. Like if we're an Australian company, but we're going to shoot something in South Africa,
yep,
and it's a South African film, and we want to cast that as South Africa, You're better off going to South Africa to do your casting.
Which makes sense.
But of course, in this day and age, self-taping is a big thing too. So you can do your castings out of anywhere. So normally what will happen is if we're doing our casting out of Melbourne, Australia, we might set up a day or two or whatever it is, a few days of castings out of, a studio or something like that. And you have people coming in, Melbourne-based actors coming into audition. But we then might send out the briefs and actors who are from Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, they might start self-taping. So they'll self-tape and they'll send in the self-tapes. Normally what would happen from there is you'd go, okay, well, you do your first round of auditions. Now, obviously, interstate will do their self-tapes and potentially people based in that city will do it. Or you might do it all self-tape.
Okay.
You might do your first. And that's happening a lot more these days. In this current environment we're in, obviously self-taping is the only thing you can do. But what's starting to happen in this day and age is self-taping starting to take precedence for first round. So people don't want to waste their time face-to-face unless they know this person's at least going to be worth the time to see.
So self-tape is sort of becoming the audition round
Little,
one.
Yeah, it's becoming the norm
audition
for round one. Yeah, in what I'm experiencing, that's the case as well. Now, some companies and some productions will still handle that old school. They want to do face-to-face the whole thing.
Let's get 3 quick questions out of this.
Yeah.
First of all, where can you see this positively affecting the industry?
More opportunities for more people to audition.
Where does this negatively affect the industry?
Okay, so that's an interesting question because that's I could answer that if I'm talking about self-taping versus in-person auditions. But how it negatively affects the industry, well, it means there's an opportunity for less of you to be seen because you can switch your self-tape off after 15 seconds.
Touche. Yeah. And the final question is, all right, 5 years' time, what place do you reckon it'll have? Do you reckon it's going to be more or less than where it's going now?
I reckon what's happening now is a pretty happy medium. I still think that the mixing them both together is amazing because I think first round self-taping is a good idea because it does allow you to see more talent. It does allow you to get through it quicker. There is moments where you may see an actor's tape and nothing's wrong with their skill set, but they just don't look the part, or there's something about them that just doesn't fit this character. So you might watch that tape for 45 seconds, then switch it off.
Okay.
Whereas when they're in the room, you may have to be with them for 5, 6, 7 minutes. It depends on how many slides and scripts you're letting them go through. It depends. I mean, if you're a casting director that just knows, or you're a director that's just like, nah, you're out, see you later, you're that cold, fair enough, and more power to you, but I just don't think that's the right way to go about it.
So I'm already feeling like this is a bit complicated for everything I'm keeping up with.
Yep.
So let's see if I can get this straight. There are a couple of different entities in the casting process when you're kicking off.
Yeah.
First one's the main two you were saying. Sometimes they're the same in a case like you with TKG.
Yeah.
You've got your client and the director.
Yeah.
So the client's interests at this point are get someone marketable, I'm imagining.
So that's right. That's where we're at. So the way it works, so I kind of ran you through how the stages works from greenlight production to casting. Now it works the other way. So now you got the talent, right? So we'll start with the talent. Now the talent has to get, first of all, for you to audition for a project, your agent has to put you forward. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step. So if you're the actor, so I'm talking from the actor's perspective, now your agent has to put you forward. So your agent has to put you forward. Now your casting director has to approve the audition. So they've got to say, yes, we're happy to see them audition, right? After you've been submitted.
Is there a reason they'd ever say no? Is there something
100%.
where they...
Like, if you just don't look the part, like if there's something about it, if they're going, well, the director's like, we want someone of, this is what I'm saying, like if the brief is we want someone of Italian descent and they bring up someone who's, looks nothing like an Italian.
Right.
Then they're going to say, well...
Not even something makeup can fix?
No.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So then there's heaps of reasons why I think. I mean,
Cool.
An actor, a casting, like an agent might see something a casting director doesn't, or vice versa. An agent could submit their talent. The casting director looks at their show reel real quick and goes, nah, we're just not into them. They're just not right for this. And it happens like, it's happened to me 100 times. Like when I'm casting for something, because I've cast multiple projects here now, and it's like, you see a performer and you're like, yeah, I don't dislike them as a performer. I don't think they're bad, but they're just, something about them just doesn't fit this character. You know what I mean? So you just go, well, that's not a knock on them. It's just they're not right for this.
It's just the thing that happens.
Yeah, you don't want to waste their time or yours.
So you've got them, you've got the casting...
Yes, the casting director now has to then say yes to audition. Then you audition for the casting director in most situations, or the casting associate, or if it's an indie production, you'll just...
So your first actual audition, even after a self-tape, may not even be to the director?
Yeah, most times it's not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the bigger the project, you'll probably do 2 or 3 self-tapes before going to the director. Depends how big the production is. I mean, if you're talking on the on the big scale.
If you got to weed out a lot of people, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. If you're auditioning 1,000 people, and you got to think about it, like normally on a big Hollywood production, you're probably going to have the studio's going to come in and say, we've got this script. Sometimes the studio will attach the actor, the main actor, before they attach the director. So that's, I mean, the bigger the project, this system gets thrown around. Then what happens in the bigger projects is you normally have all your leads or your big ensemble cast already, and then there's a shit ton of other roles that then goes through this process. And most times the director probably doesn't even meet the actor until, if it's a small role, the director's not going to meet the actor till they walk on set.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Because if it's only a few scenes, or but they're in 4 scenes, sometimes the director won't even give a shit. Like they'll meet them on set. And that's what happens on the bigger projects.
Nice. All right.
So, but the rest of the projects, the way it works, okay. So your agent submitted you, your casting director said, yep, we'll audition you. You'll then audition for the casting director. You may go through 1 to 2 rounds with the casting director. So then the casting director is going to shortlist you. And then what will happen from there is you'll get sent the shortlist to the production company. So the production company will normally sit down, or, the director, the producers, or whoever, they'll sit there, and the director might have a look at, or the director might, if it's a film, more than not, I think if it's a film, the director's going to be there in the audition room, I think, or at least for the second round onwards. You know what I mean? It depends on how big the casting brief is. If they're casting 1,000 actors, I mean, fuck. I mean, on TKG alone, some of like the amount of people we auditioned.
If you were casting 1,000, actors for a role, at what point would you want to sit in? The final 50, the final 10? Where do you think you want to start having a look at what your top of the top are?
Me personally, I'd like to look at the submissions first. So I'd like access to the same submissions the casting directors have got, and then kind of like earmark a few to go, oh, hang on, like whether or not they make it past the first round, I still want to see their tape. Or if they make it past here. So I wouldn't want to sit through 1,000, fuck no. But I'd want to be able to see all the submissions, because I believe that I see shit others don't. And I think that everyone's like that. Everyone always feels they can see something that someone else doesn't. I mean, we spoke in that one about casting TKG, and I had my casting associate with me, and we had difference of opinion a couple of times. You know what I mean? So I think that personally, like you want to see the best of the best for what's available, because you want to be uplifted every time someone auditions.
So I guess there's a balance there between, you don't want to see all 1,000 because you'll end up broken with the character.
Yeah. Oh, big birth.
But you want options.
Yeah.
I know you like options.
I do like options, but I tell you what, some of the reason I love and hate casting at the same time, and it is a love-hate relationship I have with it, is because if I can watch self-tapes all night, because you can play, pause, stop, have a minute, take a breath, whatever. When you're in an audition room for 12 hours, 13 hours, and you're seeing all these people come through, it's so hard to stay upbeat and feeling good, because what will normally happen is you'll have, and we've done it before, it happened with a couple of our projects, including TKG, where you have, say 15 actors come in on a day, and they're doing 2 or 3 sides per actor.
Yeah.
So, and there's usually 2 to 3 minutes per side, and normally you want to give them redirection, because that's part of your process, is to go, well, can they take direction? You know what I mean? Can they take my direction? You know what I mean? If they've come in, because what I like to see first is them with their own interpretation. I don't want to come in and lay out what I want to see, because I think actors bring very cool, when they can bring their own interpretation, they can show you something you didn't know was there.
Okay, so going into a casting audition, or even just a self-tape at this point, obviously, they've been given very little. They've probably given, a page and maybe a short paragraph breakdown?
Probably a paragraph character brief.
What goes in?
Page character brief.
So what goes in from your angle to writing that character brief to make sure that your casting director and your actors have the
context? They've got a little bit of context. The character brief, you want to showcase at least a little bit of the spend a few sentences talking about their characteristics a little bit and their background. Right. And a little bit of context within the story. So of where they're at in the story.
Cute little rabbit, parents are killed when Jesus was crucified, rose up, throws eggs at people now.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool, yeah.
Easter Bunny the movie.
A bit of a vengeance tale.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so can we get any details on what exactly goes into a breakdown there? Is it mostly their backstory? Is it how their emotional demeanor comes up to now?
It's a mixture of it. So I think you go through their backstory first a little bit.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? We have, Billy, was an only child.
Yes.
Grew up with abusive parents, broke out from that, went to college on a scholarship, broke away from that. He became a leader. Now he's the captain of the football team.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And currently right now he's in a situation where the football team's about to get shut down by corporate, and he now with his coach is going to fight for,
He's been there. He knows what adversity's like.
Yeah. So you kind of play a little bit of his backstory into a little bit of what is his current stance in this,
and what the scene they're going to be dealing with is.
Yeah.
All right. So, on the actor's perspective, there on the complete other side, like, what stuff should they be looking for in a script breakdown? Is there any red flags where they can immediately go, okay, these guys aren't good at writing breakdowns, I should just avoid this production?
Well, if there's very minimal content, like, I mean, if you're going for an audition, like, but it also depends though, because like, the bigger the scale of the project, the less info you're gonna get. You know what I mean? Because if Disney's putting out their, you know, the next Black Panther movie, they're not going to want to spoil anything. So they want to give away as very little as possible. So, you know what I mean? You'll get a page and a half of script and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? You've just got to give your best to do it. So it's hard to say, but like, if it's badly written, you know what I mean? Like there's red flags to look out for in terms of, I mean, the biggest thing to look at is what kind of projects it's going to be.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I read a character brief because obviously through 88 to 1, we've got a network of actors that we work with. And after we've worked with them on show reels, a lot of them come to us for advice and guidance. And, you know, the company I used to work with, or still work with, Fusion Studios Australia, like, you know, we have a lot of performers come through a network through us through there too.
Understandably.
So we've read a lot of character briefs, and sometimes it might be like, it might be like Tanya, hot, gorgeous, stunning. And the way they're kind of talking about this character, it's like some not 18-year-old's fucking wet dream. You know what I mean? And you're kind of going, well, it's written more that he's so focused on her physical appearance, but there's no character description in there. Mm-hmm. It's just written about her physical appearance. So you start to go, that's a little bit of a red flag, because
pretty sure those are most of my high school journals.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. You know what I mean? If young Peter became a scriptwriter when he was 30, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's those are things to look out for as a performer. It's like how you might not get a full 7-page character brief because that's overkill. Mm-hmm. But you know what I mean? If the character brief's just physical details, then
probably not much content to the actual character.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
If all they are is their physicality, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So they've read their breakdown. You know, they know what's coming up against them at this point. You've said now what the director's looking for out of self-tapes and stuff. What should actors be doing at this point? Because once again, you take self-tapes very seriously and even offer them as a service.
Yeah.
They're definitely more than just...
Well, first of all, self-tapes. The thing that, like, as a director, I'll just go into a bit more self-tapes. Like,
tell us a bit more about the evolution of where they're going.
Well, they need to be good. Like, and when I say good on all levels, like, you got to hear it. Like, I was watching, yeah. Oh, my God. Like...
Well, do you like when you get pink distortion?
Yeah. Audio is so fucking important. Audio is so important.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's... You know, when you get a self-tape and you can barely hear them, or it's so echoey or something like that, it just kills it for you. Because you can't help... When you're industry professional, you can't... Like, you don't want to focus on production value, but you can't help it.
So, and it's just really weird when the audio is disjointed in a normal conversation like this.
Big time.
So strange.
Big time. Shh. But yeah, like if they're in a dark room and you can't even see their face, that's going to jump out straight away. If the audio, my biggest pet peeve is when the audio level is so low. Like, you know what I mean? And you have to like turn your volume speed, because I'm watching self-tapes with headcans on.
Well, we do post-production for our audio, so having to do it again.
Yeah. Sometimes, I'm not even kidding, sometimes I have to send them to Pete to actually bring the levels up for me. But because I'll usually listen to them on my headphones. And then I've got the self-tapes going on my headphones. Now, mate, if you're right in my fucking ear and I can't hear it, I think, look, to be honest, you need to hear the reader as well, but the reader's not as important as the
yeah, you know what they're saying, yeah.
So when they're kind of the reader and the reader's louder than the performer, that's a problem. You know, so
that usually means that the microphone and the reader are right next to each other.
And to be honest with you, like, look, and this sounds like a real, and I'm not saying this because we offer this as a service, but it tells me that if you're willing to submit a self-tape that is just poor quality across the board, then it tells me you're not taking this seriously. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out and pay for self-tapes all the time. Learn how to do them properly. Like, it's not about having to go out and keep spending money on self-tapes. And I'm killing my own business here, but like, it's not that at all. Like, it's learn to fucking do it. Like, find a light space. Like, find out. I've seen self-tape people do their own self-tapes, DIY self-tapes all the time.
Yeah.
Good friends of mine, I offer the service, and good friends of mine do it by themselves. You know what I mean? Because they've been taught how to do it. They asked advice about it. They were taught how to do it. Next minute, they go out there and you can go buy I shouldn't even be saying this, but go and buy a self-tape kit for like $100 on eBay.
Yeah.
And do it yourself. Like, it's so possible. And so if you're not willing to put that investment in, then you're not taking your career awfully seriously.
I've got another question there about quality of self-tape. How important is the reader? Because we know they don't have to perform, but I find
Great
sometimes
question.
when they don't get the pauses right or something.
Great fucking question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reader's extremely important for a couple of reasons. Now, the reader doesn't have to be actor of the year. And this is where you as the performer can guide the reader a little bit, or at least instruct the reader a little bit. Because, I mean, I'm watching a bunch of self-tapes now, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we're casting for a project at the moment. So I've had a lot of, and during this COVID-19 shutdown is the perfect time to actually get self-tapes in and have a look. So I'm not judging them extremely harshly on their service, because obviously it's a bit hard for people right now with the lockdown laws to go and get self-tapes done. But what I notice is the readers, it's a vastly different landscape I'm dealing with right now, because I think readers have been more, friends or families or housemates or people that just aren't awfully experienced in helping performers, right? A bad reader can fuck your self-tape. Easy, because there's so many moments in a script, and then I guess for me, I'm a little biased because I'm a writer-director, as we were talking about last week, right? So we're auditioning for a project at the moment. Well, so we've got casting for a project going at the moment, and I'm already at this point with my script where I'm like, it's almost there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost there, my script. And when you start hearing the reader butcher your lines or rush the script, because they're just rushing these lines out, and then next thing the performer's rushing their lines because the reader's rushing their lines, and next minute I'm going, you're not doing anything.
It's like, did you guys remember to do the whole emotion thing?
Yeah, exactly.
The whole
and there's
reason
no
you
beats.
did the scene.
There's no beats.
Yeah.
So as a performer, like, it's like the part of prepping for an audition or a self-tape is get in there and understand where's my beat supposed to be, and what moment do I want to take my time with, because you have to, on set, the other actor will do that for you. On set, when you got two actors that are going at it and then the chemistry's there, they're going to do it for you, right? But in a self-tape, you can't.
True.
So you got to try to orchestrate that as much as possible by saying to your reader, listen, I'm going to have a moment after you say this, because I'm going to say this line and then regret saying it, and I need a beat before you come back with your response. So you need to figure out a way to either write that on your script so the reader
part where he
can
breaks and just regrets needs to be a part of the scene as well.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a line on paper.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of, and especially because I've watched a fuckload of self-tapes. I mean, I've watched self-tapes from the initiative that we're doing. I'm watching self-tapes from the casting that we're doing. And again, sometimes the readers frustrate the shit out of me, because it's like and it's not the reader's fault. I mean, if they're your brother or your sister or your mum, your dad, your fucking, housemate or whatever, and they've got no acting training, then that's not a knock on them. But if you've studied acting, you should be able to sit there and have the capabilities to say, all right, in this moment, take your time. Don't deliver this line straight away. Give me a minute.
Yeah, please pause here.
Give me a few beats, and then do that as well. The other thing I will say is self-tapes, the benefit of self-tapes for an actor over, because you said what the actor look for in the self-tape, so now I just had my spiel on what I look at properly for a self-tape. What an actor should look for in the self-tape is opportunity, because when you're in an audition room, a couple things hit you. Nerves. I mean, you're walking into an audition room, 9 times out of 10, you haven't met a single person in that room. You know what I mean? There's obviously the occasions where you have, but most times than not, you probably haven't met any of these people in the room. You could have the director, the producers, the EP might even be in there, the casting director's going to be in there, you're going to have a camera operator, a production assistant, every Tom, Dick and Harry, right?
Yep.
Staring at you and doing your thing. So it can be fucking nerve-wracking, and then everything you've built up in your head goes away. If the reader throws a curveball at you because you don't know the reader, so the reader throws a curveball at you and you feel like you fucking fumbled it, then sometimes then the directors or whoever's there just goes, yep, thanks, see you later. You've only had one run at it, and then you leave the room feeling like shit.
Yep.
When you self-tape, that's an opportunity, because you could do as many takes as you want and you send in the best take. So
if it's not the best take, it's on you.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is it's your chance to go, okay, if you take things seriously enough, and it's hard as well, because some actors might be doing fucking 7 to 10 self-tapes a week, so they don't have, which is fair enough. But if you're in a position where you're not, and I know a lot of Australian actors are not in this position where they're doing 7 to 10 a week. I mean, they're fucking lucky to do 7, 10 in a month. You know what I mean? So if you're that chance to then take the opportunity to go, let's do multiple choices. Let's have fun with this. Let's go left and then right and then front and then back and north and south and then east and west, and you're playing it in every possible way, and then take the time to watch them back. Watch yourself on camera. What's working? What's not working? You know what I mean? Oh, I like this. Is a very out there choice, and then have the fucking balls to every now and then go, I'm going to send this choice in, even though I don't know if this choice works for that character, but it may get someone's attention.
And worst case scenario, they say, we want you to come back and do it slightly differently.
Yeah.
We like that you at least applied yourself.
And look, far be it for me to tell anyone have the balls to go do something. Fucking, you know what I mean? Who am I to say that, apparently? But, like, that's just my opinion. I love to take risks and roll the dice, and I advise others to do the same. Other people might not like me saying that because they like to sit at home and do fuck all. But, hey, you want to make a career, you got to take some risks.
Wow, okay. So that's a lot to throw into both, you know, like a director and actor's perspective for self-tapes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the actor's done their best thing. They've done a performance. They might have played it up a little. How do you turn self-tapes into people you want to audition? What is there any obvious cut-offs here?
From a director's point of view?
Director, from a casting director as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
'cause you
sorry.
said
From a
sometimes
casting
that-
point of view?
Either way, yeah.
So
Is
when
there
you
a
watch a
difference?
self-tape, what makes you then want to go, I want that person?
Yeah, and is there a difference between what a casting director and what a writer-director in your case would look for?
Oh, I think that's just a case of opinion. Like, there's certain, like, as a writer-director, there's a few things in my head. Because I've written the script going, that's how I want her to look.
Yeah, you can cheat.
Yeah, that's how I want him to look. That's how I want them to look. So an actor might come in and you go, fuck that look. Like, that's the perfect look. But their acting might be like, not bad, but like there's other better performers or, you know, better interpretations of the role. So then you might go, I want to get them in because I want to see if I can get them to where they need to be.
Okay.
Where a casting director won't be so sold on that because they're looking for the talent and the interpretation. And look, and to be honest with you, casting directors, a majority of them are former actors. Majority
I
casting
imagine
directors,
it would be a good quality to have.
Yeah, definitely. Like, a lot of them are either retired actors or kind of actors that, you know, were doing their thing and then halfway along the traps found a passion for casting.
Okay.
Because it is an art form, casting. You know what I mean? It is because it's like pieces. It's like putting a puzzle together. You know what I mean? And it's so, like, choices are so risky. Like, when you're casting, like, holy shit. Like, you know, if you go A instead of B, do you always look back on B? You know what I mean? But like, so a lot of casting directors were former actors. So they know what they're looking for. So when they're in the audition room, they know exactly what to look for. They know how actors should prep. So they're not like corporate people.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted. Like, casting directors are corporate people. No, they've. If you're an actor going into a room with a casting director, they've studied what you've studied.
They probably know more than you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've probably been doing it. They've been in the industry long. But the difference is, the casting director also knows how the industry works. And which is why they got into casting in the first place. Because they know how the industry works. They know how the business works. And this is where they thought, you know what? And a lot of them still do act. A lot of them still do act and casting. Obviously, they don't cast themselves in projects, but they love to...
It'd be handy if they could.
Yeah, well, for their point of view, it would.
Spider-Man is now me.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of them know the business and the passion. And that's what casting director is about. They've got the art, you know, this is their art form and this is their business, you know, and then they kind of mix them together. But... So they know what they're looking for too, but they're not going to be as glued to someone as a writer-director.
Okay.
So a writer-director is going to glue himself or herself to, this is how I viewed that character, and oh my God, he's perfect. Or oh my God, that's exactly how I saw her. Shit.
Once again, not necessarily a bad or good thing. It just depends on the situation.
But from a writer-director point of view, it could blindside you and put your blinkers on a little bit where you go, I'll do whatever I can to get him or her to the...
And they may not be the right choice.
Yeah.
Or
and,
there may be a better choice.
Ignoring this one, ignoring that one. You know, and a casting director is the opposite, where they might not give that person the time of day.
Yep.
So if the writer-director's not in the process early enough, they're going to wave that person on.
Okay.
Because they've got these four that look the role. But that's again, it's teamwork. It's collaboration. Because if the writer-director if say a writer-director and the casting director are working hand in hand on a project, then spill as much as possible and say, this is how I want this character to look, and they'll do their best to find that for you.
So do you recommend putting multiple takes of a performance on a self-tape, or just...
Well, this is an interesting one because
I know
everyone's going to have different opinions.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have different opinions on this.
And some are going to say, no, it's the wrong decision, and...
I say it's the wrong decision if there's not enough difference between the takes.
Okay.
So if the takes are so similar, then it's a no-no. It's a waste of fucking time. You know what I mean? It's like if you're doing two takes for the sake of doing two takes, then no. Wrong decision. Big red cross. You're out.
Cool.
But if you've got two separate takes and you love them both because they're so fucking different, like I was saying before, if you roll the dice and go, well, I'm going to play this one so out of my mind crazy, but then this one I want to play a little bit reserved and do this, and they're such separate different choices that you can't make a decision. If you're sitting there going, I can't make a decision because they're both this is so far left and this is so far right, I don't know which one to put forward, and you put them both forward. I like looking at that.
It's a good problem for a casting director.
Me personally, I like looking at that. But if you do two takes that are so similar, then it's like, why are you sending me in two takes? Is
Gotcha.
it because you fumbled one line in the first take, and you fixed it in the second take? Like, I don't know. This isn't film. Like, this isn't. This isn't a film shoot.
And even then, if they're the same, why not send the
Yeah.
better one?
And then so I do feel that some do send in multiple takes for the sake of it, but yeah, if you're gonna send in multiple, well, one if they specify ones, because sometimes some casting directors will specify, give us 3 takes. Some will specify we only want 1 take. Don't send in more than 1 take. But if they leave it open and vague, then again, that's something that if you're the talent, that's a discussion you got to have with your agent.
So does the self-tape arrive at the casting director at the same time as like the show reel and stuff? And
No. So the show reel headshot should be there first.
Cool.
So pretty much the way
So they've
it works
already
is-
seen the show reel by this point.
You'd think so. Because what normally happens is the agent submits you. They don't submit the self-tape. So normally what will happen is, on most productions, again, there is outliers out there, but most productions it'll work where the casting brief will go out on a showcast or a casting networks, which your agent gets.
Yep.
So the agent gets that. They will then get their crop of talent and then submit them for that role. So let's just say you got the role of James and then the role of, Tim and then Samantha, right? So it's like, okay, these girls are going to put forward for Samantha. These guys.
So there's not really any point at which you may be looking at a self-tape performance that's come in for a role and gone, they're not that strong, but let me quickly check their show reel and see if they're versatile.
You'll revert back, yeah.
So if you do, what would you be looking back in their show reel for? Like versatility at this point?
Yeah, to be honest, look, and that's a good question because I've been doing that this whole week. Like, I mean, we've had a lot of self-tapes come in for our next project. And, I'll watch and usually what happens is, and what's been good is the agents we've been getting sent, their, they submit the talent first. We say, yeah, we want to see them. But then they submit their self-tape and they give us their headshot, resume, and profile.
Okay.
So what I do is I've been going through, and if there's a self-tape that I like or a look that I like, I'll jump in and then check out the show reel if they've got one. And I'm looking for just their on-screen chemistry, their on-screen presence. You know what I mean? How do they come up on screen? Because in a self-tape you can see it, but when it's just a blank white wall or blank blue wall behind you, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you also want to see how they bounce off against other actors. Again, remember, this goes back to the reader. When you're doing a self-tape where someone's like, how are you feeling? Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I know. Then you're going to go, okay, well, that's not giving me the bounce that I'm looking for. So I want to go back to their show reel to see how they're like with other actors. Can they develop chemistry? Is there anything on that reel that makes them stand out? I want to see them in an outdoor setting. I want to see them in an indoor setting. I want to see them in different costumes.
The performances really changed that much between outdoor and indoor?
No, but I'm just saying visually.
Yeah.
Visually, you want to see their on-camera presence. You know what I mean?
So he just becomes terrible the moment he walks outside.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Walks outside, loses ability.
Yeah, this really emotional scene on the doorstep, and I just lost it the moment he came in.
But also different looks, Gotcha. Because that's the other thing as well. Like, you look at a self-tape, like we might be doing a character who's a old school gangster. You know what I mean? And then you look at his show reel, and there's one scene where he's maybe playing a lawyer and he's decked out in a suit. And you go, holy shit, I like that look. I liked him decked out in a suit. This could work. I'm not going to put him in the same thing, but that's giving me ideas.
He's a gangster decked out in a suit.
Yeah. But it's giving me ideas, So it's important to make sure that on your show reel there's so many different looks and things like that. If you're doing it,
is there anything people should be throwing on their show reels that may inadvertently complement their self tapes? Or is it just keep it versatile?
The thing is, the show reel, you want to show your versatility and not just skill set and talent, but look.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So on your show reel, it's always good. Like, I mean, if you're a guy, it's always good. You got a scene clean shave, and then you got a scene with the beard. Then you got, a scene if you got long hair, maybe tie your hair up, or maybe a scene with a beanie on, something like that. So you're showing different looks within your show reel, right? And if you're a girl, same thing, different hairstyles, different everything. You showcase different looks. I think with the self tape though, you just got to showcase that character. So in the self tape, you want to make. And what I like is there's a lot of good. Oh man, look, like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, we've got so much great talent in this country. And I love when people have a crack at a self tape and they dress for the character and they do something called, I'm going to wear my hair this way because I think that's how the character would wear their hair. They're making guesses now, which means they're making choices. And I like that.
No, they're starting to develop a character in their head, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So they've been through, all the reviews and stuff. We're finally through to first, second round of auditions. What differs them?
First and second round?
Yeah.
A couple of things differ. Obviously, it depends. If first round's just self-tapes, the second round's in person.
Okay.
Then that's a big change because you get to actually make because then that's where you start to make other choices as well, like other decisions, other things affect the decision-making process.
Do you usually have a preference quantity-wise between how many you'd want in a first round, how many you want in a second, or is it just however much the role can offer? Does it change according to how important the role is in the script?
Yeah. the thing is, you don't want to see too many because then people slip through the cracks.
All that, and you get desensitized to all the different offers.
And people slip through the cracks. That's the worst thing. Like, the worst is when you're doing a film and you have like 45 people audition for one character and 6 audition for another. Or something, like something like that. Because then that 45, it's like, okay, there's like 7 or 8 really good people I want to work with here, but they're going for the one role. And then you got the one that's like 6 auditioning for this character because maybe a very specific character. Older males, Jesus Christ, like they're hard to cast.
Yeah, he's a married white male. No one there is generic or accessible.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So they become harder to find.
Yep.
So then you go, okay, shit, there's only 6 people and they're not great. So then you kind of get a little bit disappointed in that character. Then you almost disappointed the other one because you're like, well, there's 6 or 7 really good people I want to work with you, which is a good problem to have.
Yep.
But then you also go, well, fuck, why can't we just spread it? You know what I mean? Like, I did that.
Have you ever said to an actor, hey man, I know you're here for this role. Can you
all the time?
This? Yeah?
All the time. Yeah, I've done that. I've switched to read heaps of people.
And does it work?
Yeah. Yeah, most times. A lot of things is what you normally find too is you might have. I've done it. I did it on TKG. You know what I mean? We had like one of the people casting TKG never auditioned for that character. She auditioned for something else.
Oh yeah.
And then I turned and said to her, actually there was two. So one of the characters in TKG was the most popular in terms of submissions. So it was one of the most sought after in terms of that. And 2 girls who went for that ended up playing 2 different roles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So because in my head I was like, I don't see you as her, but I see you as her. And then one girl got a role written for her pretty much because, well, not written for her, but written because we wanted a different character.
Gotcha.
So she was already auditioning for that. And so we said, all right, let's put you over here now instead. And that kind of works. So that normally does work. And a lot of times you might have people go for the lead role, the lead male role, the lead female role. And then, well, they didn't quite get it, but you are good. So we can throw you over here and
you're still a strong role. Yeah.
And then you get a supporting role instead. Because normally what you'll find is you won't audition all roles at the same time. So normally you'll start with your top tier first. So, in terms of an indie sense, anyway, like when you don't have the budget to go get Chris Hemsworth, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you go, okay, well, we've got to cast locally, this sounds like, I don't know how I sound this, but like I prefer that because I love working with new talent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, but that'll change. I think if I got a budget to get Hemsworth, I'm not going to turn that shit down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, imagine it's a difference between, discovering new and valuable talent and giving them an opportunity to perform.
Absolutely.
Versus some of the people that, are on the, higher fame and salaries.
Yeah.
They're there because they're consistent, they get the results, and you can get ticket sales from them.
Yeah, definitely. So, when you look at these guys, so normally you'll go, okay, well, here's say the 4 mains, right? Maybe there's 5 or 6 key roles.
Yes.
And they're all different. Like, you know what I mean? We've got this over here, like male 50, female 45, 25-year-old male, 18-year-old female, whatever, right? So you start casting for those roles first. Mm-hmm. And usually, and the reason to do that first is because you get all the talent for those roles. And then normally you'll find that you might go, shit, this guy was runner-up for the main guy. But there's also another role, supporting role, which I think he could play too. And you might just give him the role. Or you might say, hey, look, come do a couple of reads for me. Does the reads look good? Hey, you nearly got that one. You should get this one instead. And that works as well.
Okay. So for those of us who haven't really been through the film scene, and looking forward to experiencing TKG, and we hope you will, what does a Damien audition look like? Your performers coming into audition, they've just walked in the door. Who are they sitting in front of? Is it just you? Do you bring other people? Do you have a casting director?
Kind of. So the way I run it, it's pretty similar, I can imagine, to most indies, how they run it. So normally what I do is we would run a audition day or a couple of audition days. Normally I'll bring in, won't be just me. Normally I'll bring in myself, usually a camera op, someone to operate the camera because we usually have the camera running for the auditions because we obviously want to record them to watch them back. I'll usually have a casting associate. So casting associate for TKG was Lee Smith. He's also a casting associate for 88-1 Production, so he's on the next one as well.
And a solid actor.
Yeah, so he comes in as a casting associate, and it also depends. Sometimes I'll bring in actors who have already been cast. So for TKG, I remember Ernest came in to help out with a few, so he'd do a few reads and stuff.
Okay.
If I've got an actor playing a role already, I'll probably wait till the second round before I bring them in to do the reads. So usually I have a reader, maybe a personal assistant, kind of at the front, kind of letting people in. Then me, casting associate, and a camera person.
As the reader, someone who's briefed on the scripts, or do you just get someone?
Yeah, usually the readers read the script.
Cool.
Yeah, so we always want to supply, and usually the reader's another actor. So an actor that works with us or an actor who knows
So you're
us.
fixing the problem they would have been having with
Yeah,
the
exactly. Yeah, I always want a reader that knows what they're doing.
Lovely.
So they've usually read the full script. They know the characters. They know who they're reading as, and they usually. So usually what we'll do is I'll have a chat with them before the day starts, and if there's a particular thing I want them to do, I'll point it out in the script and I'll write it on their script.
Okay.
So I'll say, okay, well, when so and so comes into audition for, Ben, I want to make sure that you're giving him a time for this. So take a long time or take a bigger beat here to see how he responds to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you change that per actor if you know some of them beforehand, or is that just general?
Nah, usually, look, to be honest with you, the way I like to do it, and again, I haven't written the book on this shit. I'm sure
every director's different. That's why your insights are welcome.
Yeah. So the way I like to do it is I like to kind of try and give the actor a blank canvas. So when they come in, so normally they'll come in, they'll introduce themselves, and nice to meet you, all the kind of small talk and shit, and then we'll just say, do you have any questions about the actual project? Not so much your character, just the project. They might ask a few questions, you know what I mean? Usually, most times they're nervous as fuck. So most times they're kind of like, oh, yeah. They feel they have to ask questions. Guys, don't feel like you always have to ask questions. You're saying, no,
what are
I'm
some
good.
good questions to ask if they're in their position?
It's hard to answer that because, like, for me personally, it's like, I just want to get to it. So, you know what I mean? It's like,
it's probably better off
I've had people say to me, oh, what was your motivation to write the script? I'm sitting there going, what is this, a podcast? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? So, not that I don't like answering it or talking about it, it's just a time and place for it. Usually they might, but if it's a technical question, like if they're saying, because they might sit there and say, okay, so in this scene, it says that she comes in and does this. Is it okay if I do this instead? Yeah, great. That's a good question.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Because you're kind of giving a heads up. You know what I mean? Or if they kind of like, if an experienced actor might come in as well and say, they might say to the cameraman, oh, can I just ask how wide the shot is? Because they might be planning to do like a bit of action or something and they don't want to go off camera. So an experienced actor will ask that question. And that normally tells me that they're experienced. And that's
even during an audition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is good because they also understand the process, how it works. They want to give me something to look at, but they also got to be aware that I'm watching it back. So if they're saying, well, I'm actually planning to kind of drop down and do this, is that okay, or am I going to fall out of shot? And that doesn't piss anyone off because then we're sitting there going, well, you've given us a heads up. The camera person goes, no, I'll catch you, it's fine. And now the cameraman's all happy because he's been teed up and he's on,
And you get your moment.
Yeah. Whereas if the camera guy's sitting there and next minute you drop out of frame, you haven't warned anyone, he's like, oh, fuck, now he looks like a dick. You know what I mean? Now he feels like a dick because he's missed it.
Oh, he would add fun.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so... But, the way my process works is like, I love to see their interpretation first because it keeps me on my toes and it makes it less repetitive. And then if an actor comes in ballsy and makes a great choice and they come in and they're like, well, fuck, I didn't see the character this way. Holy shit. And then this is where you got to be careful though. So I've worked with actors in the past that play the intense characters so freaking well. So well. They'll play like a lunatic or they'll scream and they'll carry on. You're like, fuck, they're killing that. And then you ask them just to be normal Joe Citizen and they can't do it. You know what I mean? So they
weren't acting.
Yeah,
they were always
exactly.
crazy.
They're always fucking insane. So, you'll see their interpretation first, then you'll go, and if it's a good choice, but it's not the right choice, or it's not the choice I want, then that's great. Because I'll sit there and say, okay,
or it'd
cool.
be a great choice for the scene, but
Yeah.
you'll alienate everyone else on set because they're genuinely insane.
Potentially, yeah. So then I'll sit there and I say, cool, let's try it this way, and I'll give them a bit of redirection.
Okay.
See how you go. And then if they if they take the redirection and they've gone the way I've asked them to go or close to it, then that's a good audition. Because then I'm like, okay, they're good enough to make their own choices. They're ballsy enough to make choices.
So
strong choices.
So making strong choices, even if they're not the right ones, probably goes a bit better than coming in having no idea.
For me personally, I don't want to kind of preach that and then other casting directors go, what the fuck are you on about? Like, this is my personal choice of what I like to see, and I think a lot of people would say the same. But there's also people out there that say, no, try get it spot on. You know what I mean? But I think that what I like to see in performers is the ability to make strong, bold choices. Because that's what elevates the best from the rest, is the ability to make a choice and commit to it.
Okay.
Now, if I can redirect them and they can take that direction and it's hard in audition because you got to remember, like, for the performer, they're in the audition room. they're, again, like I said before, they're nervous. They're walking in. We haven't met any of these people before. You've got, this person. Then they do a take. Or they do a version of it, right?
Yes.
And next minute you see me and Lee or me and the person start talking. Oh, yeah, cool.
And they just
writing
stand,
notes. Yeah, or they're halfway through their scene and I'm writing something. You know what I mean?
It's like, no pressure.
Yeah, I could be writing my grocery list. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? Usually I'm writing notes on
Certainly
them,
hope not.
And usually I'll write notes that are very coded. So I'll have like initials for something. You know what I mean? So whether I like them or don't, I'll have certain initials on a sheet. So if you took my sheet and you read their note, they wouldn't know what it means. You know what I mean? Unless it's just a scribble out of their name. And
It's like DH. I wonder what I...
yeah. Peter McIntosh, DH.
Absolutely.
7 ticks around it. But, you know what I mean? So there's a lot going on. And so then if I'm writing notes, then okay, put it down. And sometimes I'm doing it halfway through their performance because that's what you got to do. You don't want to fucking end
As
the
your idea
performance
comes up, yeah.
and then go, oh, give me a minute. Like you can, but then we got to stick to a schedule.
Yes.
So normally, and a lot of times is what the good actors know this. If you're starting out or it's not on your mind all the time, you should know this. We record it for a reason. So we can watch it back. You know what I mean? So it's like if I'm writing notes halfway through, it's because I'm liking what I'm seeing. I want to kind of write. Because what I do is later on is I look at those notes and I say, hang on, I need to rewatch that. So I'll go back and I'll rewatch it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? For multiple reasons.
Understandably.
Yeah.
So when you're looking through your rewatches for your callbacks, what are you going through at this point? What turns the auditions, even
So normally what I'll do is I'll go through my list first. So let's just say on
bring
the
these
day,
into callbacks.
Yeah, so on the day, we do an auditions, and let's say we've seen 30 actors for 3 characters.
Yep.
Right? So I'll kind of like do my own ranking system, like a priority ranking system of who on the day surprised me. Like who on the day got my attention? Who on the day...
Is there a difference in your mind between who did a good performance and who surprised you?
Sorry, I meant to say them together. They'd only surprise me if I've seen or worked with them before.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa. Because if I've never worked with them before, they can't surprise me because I've never seen them work.
Hey, you never know. They might come in.
They might come in and... I don't know. They might come in, like big fucking muscly, muscular bodybuilder and he has the highest voice ever, sure. That could be a surprise.
I'm here to play the pigeon.
Yeah. It's a pigeon. But, most times or not, what I like to do is I kind of have my priority list on who on the day got me. Who on the day was like, holy shit, I've got to watch that back.
Gotcha.
And then what I'll do is then I'll have other people where I was like, I'm not sure. So I have to watch it back. Because I don't know whether I was just... Because you got to remember, like, you start out in the morning, but you do your first audition at like 9 a.m. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you forgot what the audition was.
Oh, the coffee's definitely worn off by then.
And you've forgotten what they even did. So you automatically should watch that back anyway, unless there's a big cross on it that says, fuck no.
Even though you should watch it back for entertainment value.
And then there's ones at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? They're actor number 30. And you're sitting there and you're drained. You're tired. So they're coming in performance and they miss one line. Mentally, you go, ugh. You know what I mean? And it's not even their fuck up. Like they maybe just delivered one line a bit cringe or something like that.
Or something that's workable.
Yeah, so I'll usually put like a question mark there. Because it's like it's not right for me to cross you out. But you also didn't grab me.
You don't get the big guests that Mr. 10 a.m. got.
I've had ones that like second last of the day come in and I'll just go, fuck, and that re-energizes me. Because I'm like, holy shit. But then what also happens is they've re-energized you, but then do you mistake that for you're the best? Or you've just been the best of the last 2 hours and I've forgotten what everyone did at 9 a.m. So that's why it's so important to take your time, watch them all back when you're fresh. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can watch them back to front or you can just pause. But the good thing is you don't have to watch every single one. Because there's ones on the day. I mean, I've had auditions, man, where people have come... and
they just get big X right away.
Oh, that happens. I kid you not. And to be honest with you, that happens more from not necessarily their audition, but how they walk into the room. If you walk into the room and you don't acknowledge my reader, you don't acknowledge my camera person, that's already a strike. Like if you're coming in, you think you're above that. If you come in, like most actors will do this, they'll come in and they'll acknowledge everybody. That's the way it should be. That's just respect.
Is this like saying hi to everyone, or can I just say hi everyone?
Oh, you can say hi to everyone. That's fine. You don't have to fucking individually hi you, but it's a nice touch. Because you got to remember, like, we're all workers, we're all a team. This is how film sets work.
Yeah,
this
but
is
I don't like any of you.
Yeah, but we run a company together.
True.
You're stuck.
Probably why.
You're stuck. But that's why I haven't cast you in any roles. Yet. Well, besides background stuff, but we'll get to that.
Watch this space.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, if they come in and... Because, again, happens all the time. Like, they'll come in and, the director straight away, hi, and nice to meet you. And
Yeah.
that's great. Friendly, that's really nice. But if you kind of ignore everybody else in the room, no. Like, to me, I don't like that, because this is your first experiment, because I'm about to put you with a crew of people. And I want you to be able to gel with my crew. I want you to be able to work with the crew. Now, if you can't even acknowledge people in the room, mate, if you can't acknowledge people in the room, fucking, that's rude. That shit's rude. You know what I mean? So that's another thing as well. And if they come in with a sense of arrogance to them, that's one of two ways for me. I'm kind of like, cool, let's have fun. Like, you back it up. Back it up. If you're going to come into the room arrogant, that's fine. I can be arrogant sometimes. That's cool.
Sometimes.
Let's back it up. Back it up. You know what I mean? But if they come in and they're rude, obnoxious, and kind of, and then it happens a lot with indie, because with indie, they kind of sit there going, oh, this is just an independent thing. It's just been an audition I've been given because, there's nothing else out there. Well, if that's the attitude you're coming in with, well, fuck off then.
You're probably not looking hard enough.
Yeah, just piss off. You know what I mean? So that attitude has a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? And it's so hard because you only get such a small amount of time, and, but it's not hard to show common decency. You know what I mean? And not just but to everybody. You know what I mean? Don't treat the PA like shit. If we're running behind and you roll your eyes back, well, guess what? This industry runs behind. This industry is barely ever on time. So there's heaps of things you can judge someone on. And I cross more people off over attitude than I do over just the audition or skill.
Do you think it makes your audition vetting process a bit easier?
Fuck yeah. Because I've literally had an actor walk in and straight away off the bat, I knew I didn't like him. From personality, I just knew. I was like, you're a shithead. You're 100% shithead. Yeah. So they do the audition, and you don't even want to give them another take, because you're kind of like, well, I've seen enough. Or someone might have a reputation, and because that's it. Like, the industry's small too.
True.
So someone comes in with a reputation.
People talk, yeah.
But I'm a big believer in giving everyone a shot if you haven't worked with them personally.
Yeah.
So
let your work speak for itself.
Yeah, and I think that especially in Melbourne, because you look at Melbourne, right? And I'll use Melbourne in a kind of in its own little fucking nutshell. Is you got so many schools here. Howard Fine, Tafta. You know what I mean? I know Nida does some short stuff here, and there's a few others as well around, right? But if you're a shithead at acting school, chances are people have worked with people you're in school with. Mm-hmm. Other talent, teachers, everything. You know what I mean? Like, one of our cast members of TKG is a teacher at Tafta. So you're like, not that he spoke about anyone, but like if someone had worked under him, you think I'm not going to give him a call and say, yo, like, this person...
was this person any good?
Now, if somebody says to me, if somebody goes out of their way to tell me, oh, don't work with him or don't work with her because they're shit.
Or bribe me enough.
Yeah, well, I still want to know for myself. So come into the room, but I'm wary. So if you come in the room and I see that arrow and I can see what they're talking about straight away, yeah, that's what they're talking about. Okay, cross. See you later.
Wow. Remember to not piss you off if I'm ever auditioning for a role with you. Although you'll probably always audition me for behind the camera again.
Yeah, definitely.
I am not auditioning for your coffee bitch again, though.
Oh, you did that role so well.
Stop it. All right. So when you're doing the callbacks at this point and you're calling people back for different things, you might want a different performance for something. Is it because you're usually trying to weed out a performance you didn't like, or you want to take in a different direction, or are you finding can they work with another actor, or what are usually the reasons for callbacks?
It's a mixture of everything. So if a callback's more like, well, and again, this goes to...
I think it's important actors know at this point, if you're in a callback, don't panic. It's usually a good sign.
Don't panic, but also don't... I mean, I think most actors I talk to are pretty calm with it all.
Well, then you talk with actors that have been doing this for a long time.
That's true as well, yeah. So with I guess with actors who are just starting out or kind of new to the process, just a callback, you've passed the first hurdle. You know what I mean? And usually and again, if we're looking at callbacks, if it's a self-tape, so if say first round was a self-tape, most times it's because I want to redirect them.
Okay.
I like the look, I like what they've done. They've showed me enough in the self-tape for me to say I want to give some redirection here and some feedback too. And the other thing as well is if it is a self-tape, it's also I do want to meet them. Because I think I explained a couple of weeks ago, meeting them and not getting to know them, but at least having a face-to-face with them and talk, even if it's for 5 minutes.
Well, most of the job you're going to be doing with them is interpersonal stuff.
And allows me to get to know them pretty quick. And I'm pretty quick at getting to know someone, you know what I mean?
It's your job too.
Yeah. So that's another reason for it as well. Now, let's say the first round was in person. Then it means I've gone away, I've watched the tapes, I've studied the tapes, and I've gone, okay, these are the few that I feel I could work with. I need another crack. So normally what happens in callbacks in that stage is I'll give them a different script. So it won't...
Same thing from the film or a different idea entirely? Or?
It'll just be a different scene from the film.
Cool.
So it might just go, well, I might see... Because, like, say, for instance, like, if it's a key role, I'll probably give 2 or 3 tapes. 2 or 3 sides, which is the portion of the script that we give to audition.
Yes.
So if it's a key role, you know what I mean? And then it might be like, well, I might give... And then we might be doing callbacks where it's like, well, I really liked... You know, an example, good example is TKG. Like, you know, I liked him as Jason and I liked her as Katie. They're a couple in the film, so maybe I'll call them back together. Or you do a separate callback first and then you do a chemistry run after. Because you might do a few chemistry tests as well.
Walk me through chemistry tests, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be like a father-daughter, mother-son, boyfriend-girlfriend, husband-wife, brother-sister. So you just want to see how they bounce off one another. Because they individually, they might do it awesomely. But you also, it's good to see them... Because, like...
Yeah, but if they suddenly hate each other, you know, and...
Well, so I can see them in person here, and I can see her in person over here, and they're supposed to be a couple. And then you bring them together, and you're like, oh, they've got no chemistry. They look uncomfortable with each other. Maybe, I didn't realise the height difference was that bad. You know what I mean? So that doesn't look good. You know what I mean? Because he's up here and she's down here, and it's like, oh, no, you know?
You spend the entire time with shoeboxes on set.
Yeah. So that and unfortunately, that plays a part. But you also just want to see how they perform together and how quick they get to know each other, and the chemistry runs from there.
Do you usually find that, you know, many people can't perform together if they do solid performances solo?
Very, like, for me personally, it's only happened a handful of times where I've kind of...
Yeah, I'd imagine it being a bit of a rare thing.
Yeah.
Is that something actors can specifically do to work on chemistry, or is that just, you know, go
understanding
through
the
your
script,
casters?
understanding the script, I think, because it comes down to a couple of things. I think that, and I tell every actor, the most important thing about auditioning is preparation and script analysis. And I preach this to everyone I talk to.
As we were saying, script breakdowns earlier.
Oh my God, like doing your script analysis. If you don't know what script analysis is, get back to a fucking textbook and learn it. Because that's the most important thing. Because not only does it help you do this, helps you understand your character a bit better. You get clues from a script. So if you get a side, which is usually 2 to 3 pages, sometimes a page and a half to 3 pages, right? 4 pages maybe. But you've only got such, and you might get a small brief or maybe fuck all of a brief, right? So you got to figure out who this character is. So you got to learn who they are from their dialogue. You know what I mean? Who they're talking to, how they're talking to them, what's their attitude of them. So if you've got a father-daughter scene, right? And the daughter's giving attitude to the father, straight away you sit there going, well, that relationship's not as close. So that tells me a couple of things. That tells me that the daughter could be a bit of a rebel. She's outspoken. She doesn't respect her dad, especially if she's giving him attitude. And this doesn't feel like there's nothing from him in the script that says, what's wrong with you? So if he's acting like this is normal, then this means it's a common occurrence, right? So now it's a common occurrence. So it tells me that the daughter and the father don't have a strong relationship. There's not much respect between the daughter and the dad. So that makes me now look at the dad. So if I'm playing the dad, I get to say, well, if she doesn't respect that, what does that mean? I wasn't around much when she was growing up. I was out of the picture.
Yes.
Maybe she's mum's girl and we've divorced.
So the way chemistry is reflected completely changes the dynamic of the relationship. Yeah.
And so you start studying that and you go, okay, cool. So when you're the actor, this is how you prep chemistry. If you're playing the daughter, you're going, okay, I hate this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I hate my dad, or I don't respect my dad, and because of this. So you start to automatically go, well, whenever I meet that other actor, once we're go mode, I've got to kind of look at this guy like I just don't respect him. And that's going to come out. That's going to come across. Right, and then you start looking at other things as well, like how can this shape is something that I'm supposed... It's like a boss at work you can't stand.
Yeah.
Yes, that's authority there, but I'm not going to like you. I'm not going to do it. Go out of my way to talk to you properly. Mm-hmm. This is how it's going to go down.
Cool.
So the more breakdown... And you can learn so much, and I say this to performers all the time. Read between the lines of a script. The second you start reading between the lines of a script, you learn about these characters. It's so crazy how much you can extract from just a page and a half of... And look at their... Study their dialogue.
I found just so much white space.
Yeah. Idiot. But you look at dialogue and you will learn so much about your character through dialogue and how they're interacting. So the script analysis will help you establish a couple of things. Establishes who your character is, helps establish what is the relationship with that character in the scene, and what is the current situation with that relationship. So if it is a husband and wife, they may have been together and been happily married for 3 years, but all of a sudden this scene could be the make or break of their relationship, so things are going to be a little tense. And right now, that love's slowly turning to hate, or that love's turning to resentment. And so now you get to work out how's the current situation and landscape of the relationship. And that's how you showcase the chemistry. Because if you're doing your role as actor 1, and actor 2 is doing their role as actor 2, the chemistry will come across.
So the chemistry is just part of the job.
It is. The deliverable, yeah. If you're good at your job and you prep your job, deliverable will be good, but visually might not be. So you might look at 2 actors and just go, I just don't like them on screen together.
All right. So apart from chemistry checks, are there any other major callback litmus tests that you usually go with?
Me personally, I like to have a meeting. So, once we go through and the meeting could be like 5 minutes long.
Yep.
Like it could be 10 minutes long. It depends on what. So normally what I do is, I'm a big believer in respect and trust, right? And I think those two traits have to be earned, not given. So I don't want them to respect and trust me just because I'm the director. Like that, I'll earn that shit just the same way I want them to earn mine, right? So what I normally do is you go through the rounds. So let's say, for instance, we've gone through first round of self-tape, second round in person, third round was chemistry. There gets time before we offer. So normally what I'll do is, usually by then I'll have my list of this is who I want. So I want A, B, C, and D, right? Mm-hmm. They're my four mains that I want. So normally I'll have separate meetings with them. At least I'll try to have separate meetings with them. So
good idea. Come
into the office or the studio or whatever, we'll have a sit-down chat. And normally what I do from that point of view is I kind of pitch them what I want to do. Because I think I'm, again, a big believer in, like, I'll put out to you what I'm trying to achieve. Because it's important for me to earn their trust and respect. They need to know where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll lay out what I want to do. This is my vision for the project. This is what I want to do with the project. This is how I see your character. This is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. They'll then come back to me, and if they're on board, they're coming back to me and, yeah, I agree with this. They start asking questions. They start going through their character. And that, to me, is telling me the meeting's going well.
Good.
Because, okay, I'm throwing this stuff at you. You're not sitting there like a blank canvas going, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, no worries, what's the time? Like, if you're doing that, well, then you're not invested. But if I'm pitching shit to you and then you're getting excited about that, and then you start to ask follow-up questions to it, you start saying, hey, can I talk about this more? Or can we talk about this more? Then that shows good. And then usually after that meeting will be a good opportunity for me to say, do you want to do this thing? If they're on board, they're on board.
Yeah, great interview answer. What's the time?
That was a long bit that you committed to. Well done.
I know. I try my part. Yeah. All right, so any other final red flags at this point? You've got all your casting together. Yeah. Is there any last thing you need to check at this point once you've put everyone together?
Well, there's a couple of things that I do. So you always go back and look at their resume.
Okay.
Because a couple of things go on.
Now, this is different. This is like a specific acting resume or just a general work resume?
Yeah, specific acting resume. I don't give a shit what they did at Coles. But, like, it's a couple of reasons. One, I want to see where they study. Two, I want to see their work. Because the other thing as well is say you work with an actor 29 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
So you start looking at their CV because part of you starts going, like, if I do the audition process, I'm pretty good at going, you're good, I like what you do, I want to work with you, I'm confident to say that. But it doesn't mean you don't double check a couple of things. Because if you're looking at an actor that's 29, you start going through their resume and you go, okay, well, they studied at Whopper at 21, graduated Whopper at 24, 25, did another course at 26, right? Then you look at their film and TV resume and it's got one short film on it, 2016. And we're already in 2020. And so I start going, why aren't you working? Why aren't you booking? What's the reason that you're not booking? What am I saying something that nobody else isn't? It doesn't mean whether that makes or break me working with them, but it asks questions.
It's something to look for, yeah.
Yeah, so you start thinking to yourself, why are they not booking more? If I'm seeing someone good here, why are they not working more? So you start to then ask the right questions. So if you go, let's say, for instance, they've got on their resume, they did, Whopper, and I know someone at Whopper. Gives me an opportunity to call someone at Whopper and say, hey, yo, like, what's this person like? You know what I mean? Do they have attitude problems or something? Why are they not booking work? So there's things that can jump out at you. You know what I mean? Or if they've got their film and TV work there and they go, because again, the industry's small. So they might be, okay, they worked with this company or this director or this producer. I go, oh shit, I know them. So now I can give them a call.
Yes.
And say, hey, look, I'm looking at working with this person. What was your experience with them? And I love to ask, especially what I love to do is like, if they've worked with a first AD, I know, or a production manager, or something. You ask someone who's not.
Who you know on set.
They'll give me an off-the-record answer to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because then that's important as well. So that's why I say reputation too spread like wildfire. But if you look at that, and if I look at someone's resume and they've got fuck all written on it. But what jumps out at me is if they've been studying for 10 years but have only booked one job, you start thinking why. And there is probably logical answers to it.
But you've got to get the answer.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, well, they might just have that look and age range that's the most competitive look and age range out there. Then that actually makes me respect them more because they're sticking with it. So you go, you know what I mean? Like a good example is like, take mid-20s to 30s brunette female.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most competitive age ranges and looks out there, right? you start going, well, if I'm working with someone who's been in the game or been trying to get in the game for 10 years and they're not booking, but they're still here and they're still delivering auditions at this level, okay, you've got my respect. Because it means that you've been knocked back, rejected so many times, but you're still coming back to this level.
You're not out. Yep.
Let me help you. You know what I mean? Let's do this thing. But if you find out there's other reasons why they're not booking, then that could also take a little bit of. But usually a lot of that happens pre-meeting. So that kind of falls into that kind of between doing the last chemistry read maybe.
Yep.
Because I don't want to be too clouded when I go through that process. So you want to kind of be able to go in with a clear head. But then as you get to the meeting before you offer them the role, you want to know these answers. Because you might have to ask them a couple of questions.
Understandably.
So, and then you talk to the agent as well. And if I've got a good relationship with the agent, they'll be honest with me most times. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, if they don't want to burn that bridge.
Unless they know you.
Yeah, then they know how to talk to me. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I think that's been a pretty good rundown of the whole casting process there. I imagine this all finally culminates in the official table read.
Yeah, so once you've done the full casting process and meetings and whatnot, you'll do the table read. Table read's a really good opportunity to put certain people together as well. So, you know what I mean? Like, if there's a father-daughter or family or, best friends or some shit, you can kind of,
So you'll position people at the table?
You try to, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you try to. Because then you get to see them together, you might do it. And then from there you start doing, because then from there then heaps of things start to happen. Once production kicks off, then you're looking at costume fittings, you're looking at rehearsals and choreography stuff, depending on what kind of genre of film you're doing. And it gives them a lot of time for the cast and myself as the director to get involved and get with them and everything like that. But and then most times they're not, and then the other thing as well, actually, another thing I should mention is another good question would be during the time is it good for them to get the full script? Because most times...
Are they even meant to?
Hey?
Are they even meant to yet?
Depends on, again, the way I like to do things could be a bit different or could be the exact same. I don't know. I don't stick my nose in everyone else's casting process. But I like to... Usually, first round, probably not. Second round, probably not. When you start getting your short list together, of these are the people I think are really good, there's a couple of reasons why I do want them to get the script. Mainly because I want to know whether or not they want to do it. Because that's the other thing as well. The worst thing you could do is you get an actor who's gone through the whole audition process, you get him there, and then you fucking give them the script and they read this and go, this is trash. You know what I mean? Not that that's ever happened, but you don't want to run that risk.
True.
Because it hasn't happened to me, but the funny thing is
That's because you never tried to cast me.
Yeah, that's true. Pete will drop out of a role due to grammar. But I remember would have been 2010, 2011, 2012, I used to hang out with a lot of actors and, a few of them would come to me with the auditions and I'd, either help them self-tape or do things. And I'll never forget, there was this one project, and I won't mention the project, but there's a project that was auditioning and the scripts were going around and everything like that. And no one was given a full script until the end of the line. And the end of the line comes and the full scripts go out. And I'm pretty sure, majority of the people casting this project read these scripts and were like, what do we do? And I remember reading, because I remember I was, again, good friends with all of these people. So I won't mention their names because you shouldn't do this. You should never send a script out without permission. But, Australia's a small city, a small country. So
yes,
the script got to me and I remember reading the script and I was like, fuck, this is terrible. You know what I mean? So I think at some point it's good during the process to be able to give access. But again, it depends on the level of the project.
Yes.
I mean, if it's sometimes some projects don't even give the full scripts to actors when they're on it. A Disney project, a Marvel project, a lot of the actors only get their scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, for your independent stuff or your drama stuff, it's important, I think, for actors to read the full project. And I think to know
what's going on, how to interact with it.
And one thing I will say is, indies that try to treat their shit like commercial, just come on. We're in a position that we're trying to make films.
Know your strengths, know your market.
Yeah, and we're trying to make films via teamwork, solid teamwork. So you want to get your team on board with the full script. You know what I mean? So if you're always trying to protect the script because you're trying to pretend that you're a big blockbuster, sensational kind of thing, it's like, nah, man. You're at a level when you're at a level where you've got to earn people's respect and trust, then make sure they can see the full thing.
Oh, that's a pretty good thing to kick off the night with.
Yeah.
Any other particular stories or stuff you want to add? What are you going to do for Easter? Or what have you done for Easter now I think about it?
Fuck all. Just write. I'm writing.
Proud of you.
Yeah, no, I'm writing. Yeah, that's about it. This obviously hasn't really felt like Easter.
Yes.
obviously with the
Well,
shutdown.
for us, it's just been more of showreels. We will mention again, don't forget to continue sending through your self-tapes, any mini monologues or scenes you've shot, 60 to 90 seconds, and we'll have a look at them. We're still regularly checking the email as well, quarantine@88to1.productions. So please continue to send your stuff through to that.
Yeah.
Damien, thank you very much for walking through the casting process. It's clear that you know way more than I can be bothered to listen to about any of that stuff.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a fun process, and the last thing I'll say is actors, just don't stress about it. Leave your stuff in the room. Like, don't dwell on it when you leave a room, because I've seen actors do that too much. You know what I mean? You put an audition down, walk out, feel like shit afterwards, and rejection's a common thing as well. So,
Well, in that case, I look forward to rejecting this episode by finishing it off now. That's been episode 3 of the Quarantine Pods. I'm Peter, that's Damien. We are 88 to 1, and see you guys next week for whatever it is we decide to ramble about again.